Yeah. When Chris Rock starts making fun of you, I think you know you've lost the plot, really. But that's from Chris Rock's latest stand-up show, which is coming out very shortly. We'll bring you more news on that. But Rupert Bell is here. Rupert, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike. Yes, when you've gone from South Park lampooning them to Chris Rock, I think the room's been lost a bit in mainstream America.
Yes, when people ask the question, but they love them in America. Oh yeah, really? You sure?
I think the stardust is going from that relationship, definitely, because I think they are basically fed up with the sludge of self-pity that seems to have come out of Harry for the last couple of months, and the same from Meghan. And now we know, obviously, it does feel slightly strange that they want the prince and princess title for their children, but they are entitled to. There's absolutely no reason why they cannot, because now that the king has ascended to the throne, the grandchildren of that monarch can carry the title of prince or princess. Yes. And so they're not doing anything wrong, but you just feel, why?
Well, no, they're not doing anything wrong, but let's not forget, Rupert, that one of the things that was an accusation made in the interview with Oprah Winfrey was that, you know, they won't let our children be called prince and princess because they're racist. I mean, that was effectively what they said, and it turns out that, and I think you said it at the time, and everybody said it at the time, it's nothing to do with that. It's the fact that they are no longer, they were not on the pecking order then, but after the Queen passed away, everybody moved up one, and now they are.
Exactly, that was the whole thing. So Meghan and Harry didn't understand the protocol of the time and felt that they should automatically get the title. No, and actually, there's no reason why they should even have the title now. It's probably a choice thing, as we saw with the Princess Royal, made it quite clear that she married Captain Mark Phillips. Didn't want to. They could have had a title, but they didn't, and their children. Zara and Peter Phillips have carried on without a title and carried on very happily without one. And yet they're living in this country. They are not working royals. They're just leading within the confines of their sort of society, a very comfortable life. But in terms of Harry and Meghan, they've gone off to America, where titles is not the done thing. So it's a juxtaposition that you feels uncomfortable, particularly as for the last couple of months, we've basically seen them having a pop at the very institution they now want their children to be ennobled with.
Yes.
And it has now been changed on the royal website as well to reflect these current changes.
Because as late as yesterday, they were still being referred to as Master and Miss, I think, weren't they?
It has been updated.
OK, the other interesting thing for me, though, is that they issued, in a probably sort of normal, pompous way, but these will only be titles used as official engagements, as opposed to so you don't want us to just go around calling them prince and princess then in nursery. Is that OK with you?
Well, yes, and it's a sort of I'm not sure how many official engagements they're going to go to, because clearly that's an issue for the rest of the royal family, that there's not great comfort with them being around, and there's not much family relationship with other members of the royal household, particularly his brother and his children. You know, you would have thought under normal circumstances, if they'd lived where they did, they'd be seeing a lot of each other and be very close. Well, that's not happening at the moment. So how often they will get to use it, you might see it as a technicality that they're known as prince and princess. But for me, living in America, I don't think they should be using it under any circumstances. But clearly the king's not going to rock the boat. He's trying to make sure that the ship is a steady one and try and rebuild relationships. But at the moment, Harry wants his family to come and apologise, and as we heard last week, wants them all to go and get therapy so they can talk his language. Yes. Well, sorry, I don't think that's going to happen.
It really isn't. I mean, and also he should stop drumming up work for his mates who are all therapists. You know, I mean, they're probably making enough money out of him. He's probably gone, look, if I get them all to come, you can make millions, you know. But that's the other thing. It's a bit pathetic, isn't it? I mean, I don't know whether being Prince Archie allows you to be called Your Royal Highness, but it reminds me of my days in New York when you'd go to some cocktail party on the Upper West Side and you'd sidle up to some bloke and you'd say, oh, hi, I'm Mike Graham, and he would say, yes, I'm Prince Yulo of, Liechtenstein. And you go, right, OK, whatever. You know, there's all these kind of weird European princes. I wonder if they'll grow up to be those kind of people.
Well, they might be, but I don't think they have the Royal Highness title anyway. They don't have the HRH, but it's like, you know, the Duke of Sussex, you know, it is a title for those two children. Sitting in America, that's the problem with it. You know, that they are in a land where the titles, they don't give people titles. So that's where the problem is. And of course, they have been doing all this therapy speak, and they have been on this sort of knock of the monarchy. Yet here they are. They still want to be seen to be part of the institution that they so rail against. And that's where I think a lot of people, it sits uncomfortable. But as I say, the king he's decided this is absolutely going to continue, because I am sure, like any family, you want to try and repair bridges. But my goodness me, it's going to take a long time for it to be back on an even keel. Absolutely.
And what do you make of old Omid Scobie's assertion that an invitation was sent to King Charles and Camilla, the Queen Consort, and William and Kate? I'm not buying it, I'm afraid.
Well, I think there might have been a can you come sort of thing, but no, because there's no way they're going to go over there, because in a way that would be, then Harry and Meghan will be wanting to control the story. They want to then have all the pictures, and it would be, you know, out of their control. And that's what the royal family are so, I suppose, resentful of, is the way that anything that they seem to say to Harry and Meghan is reported back. And if they'd gone over to the christening, then exactly the same thing is likely to happen. So at the moment, until there's a proper sit down and get together and work out how do we manage this going forward, it was a fairly obvious refusal from whoever was invited. I'm sure they would have said, we've got a christening, would you like to come? But I think, you know, it's not that easy and straightforward to get members of the royal family just to go willy-nilly.
But again, you know, there's always a motive, isn't there, behind all this stuff? And clearly, the idea that they put that piece of information out there was, whether it's true or not, whether they did offer them an invitation, whether they asked them the day before or whatever it is, they've put it out there to make it look like, oh, look, they won't even come to the christening of our daughter, or our, you know, that's why they've done it.
Yes, I mean, you can see you're being ultra cynical, which I'm sure you're not being. Yes,
no, I'm just being truthful.
I think in many ways we know there's a PR game going on from all sides, because at the same time we get the Buckingham Palace and the royal household showing how busy members of the royal household were. So there's a lot of PR at play between both sides trying to get onto the front foot here. At the moment, the royal household definitely seem to be on the front foot, because their silence is the key aspect to their way of dealing with it. And we've seen, you know, yesterday we saw the Princess of Wales togged up in a combat kit going to the Irish Guards on Salisbury Plain. You know, we've seen them all out and about on a regular basis, getting on with their job, as it were, being royal and meeting and greeting and doing what they're supposed to do. Whereas obviously with Harry, yes, he's entitled to have his christening, but of course he then did have another opportunity to promote his book the other day with that, and obviously discussing all aspects of his life once again.
Yes, I really enjoyed that. I'm hoping there's going to be another one soon. Will there be one?
Well, I don't know. That one didn't go down too well, particularly as he seems to have got himself into a bit of a pickle with his the use of marijuana.
Yeah, well, and all sorts of other psychedelic and sort of various other drugs that he admits to taking freely, which can't be a great advert for parenting in this day and age, even in California, for heaven's sake. But there we are. Rupert, good to talk to you. Thank you very much. Cheltenham is upon us soon. I dare say we'll be seeing you down there at some stage. Thank you very much indeed. Rupert Bell, Talk Radio's royal correspondent. Chris Rock poking fun at the Duchess of Sussex accusations of racism. I mean, when you get down to that level, you pretty much know the game is up, is it not?